हेलो फ्रेंड्स, वेलकम बैक टू माय चैनल। मैं हूं शाश्वती और आप देख रहे हैं क्लासरूम मेनिया। सो टुडे वी आर गोइंग टू स्टार्ट अ न्यू टॉपिक, अ टॉपिक फ्रॉम क्लास 9th साइंस, दैट इज मोशन. So let's start today's class. Let's start with the definition of motion. Before that, let's know the meaning of motion. Motion is derived from the word move. That means whenever an object has any kind of movement or it moves from one place to another place, we can say that object is in motion. A complete branch of physics deals with the study of moving objects, and that is called mechanics. Mechanics has two parts. First part is kinematic, where we study the movement of object without knowing the cause, and second one is dynamics, where the study of moving object is completely concerned about the cause, which is dynamics. So again, moving on to our definition of motion, let's see what is the definition of motion. Motion depends upon three factors. First factor is distance or length. We will see how. Suppose this is a car. Suppose this is point A and this is point B, and the car is moving from point A to point B. When the car is moving from point A to point B, it is covering some distance or covering some length. So the first factor on which motion depends is distance or length. Second factor is time. So when the car is moving from point A to point B, it is covering some distance or length, and it takes some time to cover that distance. For example, Rahul is going from home to school. So to reach the school from home, he takes some time, maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes or any time, but he is taking some time. So the second factor on which motion depends is time, and the third factor is surrounding. How can we know that an object is moving? If the objects in its surrounding isn't still, तभी हमको पता चलेगा कि एक ऑब्जेक्ट का मूवमेंट हो रहा है. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, वी आर स्टेइंग इनसाइड द अर्थ and the earth is moving around the sun, but can we feel that we are also moving? Can we feel this movement? No, we can't. Why? Because all the things inside the earth are also moving with same speed. हम जिस तरह से मूवमेंट कर रहे हैं उसी तरह सारी चीज़ हमारे अराउंड जो है उसी स्पीड में मूवमेंट कर रहे हैं, बिकॉज अर्थ का मूवमेंट है तो अर्थ के अंदर के सारे चीज़ों का भी मूवमेंट है. सो वी कांट फील दैट वी आर ऑल्सो मूविंग. हमको लगता है कि हम स्टिल हैं या फिर गाड़ी जा रही है, लेकिन इन एक्चुअल हर चीज़ मूव कर रही है, बट वी कांट फील इट बिकॉज एवरीथिंग अराउंड अस इज ऑल्सो मूविंग. सो टू नो इफ एन ऑब्जेक्ट इज मूविंग, वी कंपेयर इट विद द सराउंडिंग. सराउंडिंग में एक चीज़ स्टिल होती है तभी हमको पता चलेगा कि दूसरी चीज़ की मूवमेंट हो रही है. सपोज एक गाड़ी जा रही है, तो हमको कैसे पता चलेगा कि उसका मूवमेंट है? हम उसकी साइड में होगा घर या फिर कोई ट्री होगा, वो स्टिल होता है तो हमको पता चलता है कि हाँ ये गाड़ी जा रही है. सपोज गाड़ी जा रही है उसके साथ तो ट्री भी मूवमेंट कर रहा है एंड द हाउस इज ऑल्सो मूविंग. सो कैन वी नो दैट द कार इज मूविंग और नॉट? नो, वी कांट. सो फॉर दैट वी कंपेयर इट विद द सराउंडिंग. सो आवर थर्ड फैक्टर इज surrounding. So from these three factors, now let's write the definition of motion. So the definition of motion is when an object changes its position or moves from one place to other. One place to other means it is covering some distance with respect to time and surrounding, then the object is said to be in motion. Now we will study about the types of motion. We have already studied about this in class 7th. So now we will recall it once again. So the first type is rectilinear motion. This is also known as straight line motion. So what is rectilinear motion? When an object moves in a straight line, then the object is said to be in rectilinear motion. For example, march past by soldier, movement of a car in a highway. So all these are example of rectilinear motion or straight line motion. So what is rectilinear motion? When an object moves in straight line. Second one is circular motion. So here, when an object moves in a circular way or circular manner, we can say that object is in circular motion. For example, the movement of fan. It moves in a circular motion like this. So that is known as circular motion. So what is circular motion? When an object moves in circular manner or circular way. Third one is periodic motion. So what is periodic motion? When an object moves in a certain period, a certain time period. For example, the revolution of Earth around the Sun. It takes exactly 365 days to complete one revolution, and it is moving like that only. 365 days, one revolution. Again 365 days, one revolution. So it is continuing its motion in a periodic way, in a period of 365 days. So that is periodic motion. So what is periodic motion? When an object moves in a time period. Fourth one is oscillatory motion. So what is oscillatory motion? When an object moves in a to and fro manner, that is known as oscillatory motion. So what is to and fro motion? So have you seen the movement of a pendulum or a swing? How does it move? Now let's see that. Suppose this is a swing. So how does it move? First it goes forward, then backward, again forward, then backward, and it moves like this. This motion, this movement is known as to and fro manner. So what is oscillatory motion? When an object moves in to and fro manner. Another type is rotatory motion. So what is that? When an object moves in its own axis, then that is known as rotatory motion. जब एक ऑब्जेक्ट अपने ही चारों तरफ घूमता रहता है, उसको हम बोलते हैं rotatory motion, moving in its own axis, moving around itself. For example, हम सबने बचपन में टॉप यानी कि लट्टू खेला है. क्या करते हैं? हम ऊपर से उसको घुमा के छोड़ देते हैं, नीचे वो अपने ही चारों तरफ गोल गोल घूमता रहता है. दैट इज रोटेटरी मोशन. एक और एग्जाम्पल है उसका, रोटेशन ऑफ अर्थ. अर्थ क्या करता है? सन के चारों तरफ घूमता है, उसको हम बोलते हैं रिवॉल्यूशन. अर्थ अपने ही चारों तरफ घूमते घूमते सन के चारों तरफ भी घूमता है, तो अर्थ जो अपने चारों तरफ घूमता है उसको बोलते हैं रोटेशन. So what is rotatory motion? When an object moves in its own axis, that is rotatory motion. So here these are some types of motion. Now we will know what is reference point. Suppose we say Ram is 9 kilometers away from school, or Ram will take 5 minutes to reach the school. So here the school is the reference point. We referred the school to know how much time will Ram take to reach the school, or how much distance he is away from the school. So what is reference point? A fixed point, a fixed place with respect to which any object changes its position is known as reference point. So now let's write the definition here. What is reference point? A fixed point with respect to which any object changes its position is called reference point. As we were writing the definition of motion, we came across a word that is distance. Now we will study what is distance, what is displacement, and how both are different from each other. Now let's draw a diagram to understand this. Suppose this is a house and this is a school. So here is Ram, who will now go from his house to school. So he goes like this. So he starts from his house and moves like this to reach the school. So what is distance? Distance is the actual path covered by any object from initial point to the final point. Here, house is the initial point where Ram started his journey, and the final point is school where Ram ended his journey. So here, house is initial point, school is final point. So this is the actual path, actual length covered by Ram to reach the school. Now what is displacement? Displacement is the shortest length between the initial point and the final point. So here what can be the shortest path? This is the shortest length in between the initial point and the final point. So this is distance and this is displacement. So now what is distance? Distance is the actual length covered by any object from initial point to the final point, and displacement is the shortest length between the initial point and the final point. Now let's make a table and see the difference between distance and displacement. So we will write here distance, displacement. So the first difference is distance is the actual path covered and displacement is the shortest path covered. Second difference is distance is a scalar quantity and displacement is a vector quantity. So what is scalar quantity and what is vector quantity? Scalar quantity means only the magnitude is known, and vector quantity means magnitude and direction both are known. Suppose we say Ram moves 5 km, Ram moves 10 km. That is 5 and 10 are only the magnitude. But when we say Ram moves 5 km towards east or Ram moves 10 km towards south, that is direction given. So in distance there is no need of direction, but in displacement the direction is given. So distance is scalar quantity and this is vector quantity. So the third difference is distance can never be 0, but displacement can be 0. Let's take an example to understand this. Suppose this is point A and this is point B. So the length between A and B is suppose 10 kilometer. So there is a car which moves from point A to point B, then again from point B to point A. So the initial point is A and the final point is also A. So here the distance is 10 kilometer, then again 10 kilometer. So the total distance is 20 kilometer. But when it comes to displacement, the initial point is A and the final point is also A. So the same point is there. So what can be the shortest path in between A and A? Nothing. So the displacement here is 0. So here the difference is can never be 0 and this can be 0. Fourth difference is distance is always positive and displacement can be negative. As we know, distance is a scalar quantity, means there is no direction given, so it is always positive. And in displacement, as it is a vector quantity, the direction is given, so it can be negative. We know in our coordinate system, if we move towards right, then that is positive. Move upward, then that is also positive. Move towards left, it is negative, and downward also it is negative. That is, this is east, north, this is west, and this is south. So here the direction are there. Suppose we say 10 kilometer towards east, then the quantity will be positive. If we say 10 kilometers towards south, then that will become negative. So in displacement, that can be negative. That can also be positive, also be negative. But for distance, it is always positive because there is no direction given. So our next difference is always positive and displacement can be negative. Distance is denoted by the symbol D and displacement is denoted by the symbol S. But in some books, distance is also denoted by the symbol S, and in also some books, displacement is also denoted by D. In that case, suppose if distance is written as S, then the displacement will be written as S and then an arrow mark will be given above it, because it is a vector quantity and above all vector quantity symbol we put an arrow mark like this. And if distance is denoted by D and displacement is also written as D, then there will be an arrow mark above that also. But we use distance is denoted by D and displacement is denoted by S. So the formula for distance is equals to speed into time and displacement is equals to velocity into time. In the coming classes, we will study about speed and velocity. So this is the difference table of distance and displacement. With this, we end our today's class. Let's meet in the next class continuing this topic.